Hey everyone, it's Tuesday, and you know what that means? It means I'm on Tumblr answering your questions. If you use the hashtag KatieFAQ, I went through my inbox and found some questions that I thought would be applicable, and there were tons of them. And every time I look for questions, there are always a lot. And I'm sorry if your question doesn't get answered specifically, but you can keep asking it along all the different social media sites that I am on, which is like every one of them. And hopefully it will get answered that way. Or someone else may ask it and you may get it answered that way. So let's hope that happens. Yippee! And welcome to all of you who have come over from Laura Lejeune's channel. I did a collaboration with her, even though she's all the way across the pond. We were able to do a collaboration. So welcome. I hope you enjoy. And I do Q&As 4 days a week. And you can ask your questions using the hashtag KatieFAQ. And below in the description, I'll tell you my schedule for where I'm at and where I'm looking for questions. Okay? Welcome. Now, my first question is, I was wondering if I told my therapist that I was suicidal and that I had a plan, would she force me to see a psychiatrist? And if they put me into the hospital, can they force me to stay? I'm 21 years old. Now, the first portion of this question, if you tell your therapist that you're suicidal and you have a plan, she may put you into the hospital on what we call in the States a 5150, which is a hold. And the 5150 is honestly just a code number. And I don't know why that stuck so much, but it's just what we say. So she won't force you to see a psychiatrist. However, when you're in the hospital, most likely they will force you to see a psychiatrist. So either way, you'll probably have to see someone and be assessed. Or you may just see a therapist like me. I used to work in a hospital where I'd come into the inpatient, where people come in through the ER or whatever, and I would assess them and see if they're, how they're doing and what kind of level of treatment they need, etc. So you will definitely be assessed and possibly, most likely have to see a psychiatrist. Will they force you? Yes, they will hold you for 72 hours to make sure that you're not a harm to yourself or someone else, and then they'll release you. So it doesn't matter how old we are. They can do that to us at any age. I'm sorry. But it's for your own safety and for your own good. We're just trying to help and be supportive, okay? Question number 2. Do you think it's bad if your clients know some personal stuff about you? You can't really help it now, obviously, but what was it like before you got on YouTube? I've always shared information with my clients, not a lot of information, not like, this is my story, because first of all, you're paying for time and to work on the things that you're working on, and I don't want to waste your time talking about myself, because then that would be my time, right? So I share information with my clients as it's applicable, like, I lost my father and grief is really hard and I understand where you're coming from. I might do it so they know that I understand. I may also share other personal information if I think it's helpful to them. Like, I've already learned this lesson. Let me share with you the way that it went down for me. That would be an option. However, the person that asked this question was saying that her therapist is very, very professional, like shakes her hand and calls her Mrs. whatever. And I don't go that far. I don't even like them calling me like, Miss Morton or anything like that. It's just Katie. It just is. And I know this person's in Germany and every culture is different, but I don't think it's bad. And I think if you wanted to ask, you could just say, why is it so formal? Or we're around the same age. Is there any way you could lighten up? That's not a very good way to say that, right? But you know what I mean. Like, you could say something to the effect of, does it always have to be so formal? Because I find it not as welcoming. You could just say it like that. And that may loosen her up, or something along those lines. I mean, you could even just ask, like, do you ever share any personal information with your clients at all? Or is that strictly prohibited? Because it might be prohibited by the clinic or some rules. We don't really know. But I don't have any problem with it as long as it's helpful to the client and not helpful just to me. Okay? Question number 3. Are tattoos considered self-harm? It depends. I mean, many people have tattoos and don't see it like that, and they don't even self-harm in general, like never have. I think many people do use tattoos as a form of self-harm because someone else is doing it to you and you're kind of out of control with it and like you're not actually doing it, so it's like a passive self-harm. I don't think it's the same, because people who self-harm usually can have rituals about it, and there'll be like a buildup and there'll be urges. It's not like you can all of a sudden go to a tattoo parlor. I mean, I guess you could at like the middle of the night. You can be like, I'm going to go get a tattoo. But it's usually, I find people who are in recovery may get them more. And it's almost a way to turn around the self-harm and be more in control of it. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Leave your comments. That's just my personal opinion. Obviously, there's no studies or research done on this, but I find it to be linked, but not the same. Okay? Question number 4. Is it okay to add my therapist on Facebook, or is that too much? Sorry if this is a silly question. I actually get this a lot. That's why I chose to answer it. A lot of my clients will ask me that. Now, obviously, because things have changed, this is like pre-YouTube days. But I would always tell them, you can try, but I won't respond because I'm not on Facebook for my clients. Now I have a separate, obviously everything I have is like separate for these purposes, and everything is made for all of you to get help and for me to spread awareness and share my videos. But I probably wouldn't. It's not that it's too much. I guess it's just a boundary. And we have to keep things as a therapist. We have to be very careful about what's personal and what's professional. And Facebook definitely isn't someplace that's kept professional. LinkedIn is, but Facebook, no. Okay, question number 5. Hey, Katie, I downloaded your workbook a while ago, but when I try to work on it, I tend to struggle. I find myself feeling really disconnected, like I'm not fully here, and I feel very numb. When thinking about my responses to the questions and tasks, this happens a lot when I talk about or think of hard things, and I want to be able to work through the workbook because I think it'll be very beneficial. I feel like I'm the only one with this problem. Is this normal, and how do I overcome it? Yes, that can be very normal, especially if we haven't done any work before. That's the hardest thing. If we haven't done any personal work, opening this up is like a floodgate of like all the emotions, all the thoughts, all the things that have gone on in the past are now like overwhelming. And if you're finding this happening, I would encourage you to seek help through a therapist in your area, because they can kind of walk you through it, because sometimes just doing it on our own is really difficult. And so having someone there to kind of guide us and slow it down, and okay, let's do a little bit of this, and we'll slow it down, can really help. And that can actually get you over that kind of hump of feeling like you're almost dissociating or something. If that's not possible, I would limit your time working on it and work on one task maybe for 20 minutes or 10 minutes. And as soon as you start feeling yourself get a little overwhelmed, let's stop and we'll come back to it. Because it's a process. It can take time. And it's been a long time since we dealt with any of this stuff. So it'll be really hard when we bring it all up at once, Okay? Now, the journal topic of the day is something I thought of because I went out to dinner with a friend of mine, Courtney. Not Courtney Pants, a different Courtney. And she was talking about how surfing is like her thing. It like grounds her and makes her, it's the only time during the day where she's fully, and I guess just fully content is the right word. And I wrote this down because I wanted you all to think about it. What's one thing that helps you feel centered or fully content? You're not worrying about things. You're not doing a laundry list in your head of the things that need to be done. You're not thinking about your eating disorder, your self-harm, your recovery. You're not doing any of that. You're fully content with what you're doing and where you are. And if you haven't found that, even think back to a memory where you did. And if that's not even there, let's try to find that. And please share. Take pictures, tweet them to me, send them to me on Instagram, leave comments below telling us what it is, because I think that that's something we all should have. And if we haven't found it yet, then let's start searching for it, okay? I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be on the website, katiemorton.com, under community, forums, and then Q&A for videos. And I'll also be on YouTube, so ask your questions below or in yesterday's video. Okay? Talk to you soon. Bye.